Hey up everybody and welcome back. Well, as you saw last week, you got the video on Sunday, so I didn't go to that vintage trial. I did ride here, but as I mentioned, I really prefer riding here. A, I don't have to go anywhere. B, if the weather changes, I can just put the bike away. And C, I really like the sections here. So again, purely subjective, but I don't like twiddly sections. Alright, so that being said, lots of comments, thanks for those. I'm slowly replying to them, and again, a couple of the comments mentioned, why didn't I try this, why didn't I try that? So don't forget, we're building a copy. So although one thing mentioned was the hubs, yeah, I could put better hubs in, but I've got the right hubs, so we're going to put the right hubs on, etc. Things like that. Mr. Spot has deigned to come down. He has a little problem with his mask in that he can't see very well when he's got it on. But he insisted on wearing it, which is quite right, because he's not as young as he used to be, you know, so he's got to take care. And of course, as usual, first thing he came down, he looked around and he said, "Here, these new forks you've put on, have you noticed that it doesn't have the little boss on it for the brake cable to go into?" So that's another little job we'll have to do. When we've got the forks stripped, we've got to put a boss on there with a hole for the brake cable, a split hole as well for the brake cable to go in. So we'll have to do that. So anyway, this week what we're going to do is we're going to strip the engine. I've started making a list of stuff, things like valve springs and the clutch springs and what have you, I'll be changing anyway, whatever. But the other stuff, we need to see what it's like inside there. So we're going to strip that. I set the pan under here because I wanted to drain it off. I was going to just take the engine out, but you know, it's got a cast iron barrel and stuff, so I thought, no, if I can get the head off, let's strip it right down to the bottom, take as much off as we can, and then for a little old man like me, it's a lot easier to get it out of the frame and onto the bench. So we're going to do that. I've come across something which was not good news, might not be a problem, but to drain the engine I was going to take the little plate, little cover off the sump, which is different on the C15s to the B25s that you used to see me working on, and the B44s and B50s. And I got 3 of the nuts off, and the sort of outside front nut is right up against this frame tube. Now, I don't think that's right. So it's always the danger when you sort of get bikes like this with no history and so on. I've checked that it's straight. I had a straight edge along the wheels and a few measurements and stuff like that before I even started. You know, it's pointless working on it if the frame's bent. But it may have been dropped at some time and just caused that to be bumped in a little bit, I don't know. But we'll see when we get the engine out. And it may be, I don't know, because I don't know the C15s that well, it may be that you can't take that sun plate off with the engine in the frame. But that strikes me as being a little bit odd. So we will see. Yeah, I won't tell you anything more because you'll see it as we're going along. So let's get stuck in. I've squirted some Croil on the various nuts and things to give them a start. So let me move his nibs out the way, we don't want him to get dirty, and we'll start on the engine. Right then, let's get started. I've even put some gloves on because it's a bit dirty. And for those of you that wonder why I haven't cleaned it before I'm starting to dismantle it, to clean it I either would have had to put a big pan underneath it, clean it all, catch it all. I find it, to be honest, easier to just take the bits off and put them somewhere and then clean them one at a time. Purely a matter of preference. Right, so as I say, I've already squirted this with some Croil, and I took the oil tank off and the exhaust and stuff like that. So I've got a couple of containers. Oh, that was loose. So we'll have one for cylinder head. Let's see about getting those off. Boop, 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 boop. Too big. Ah, but it fits. You can see on these actually, hold on a second, I'll show you. The usual thing. That one, the corners are rounded off. This one, look, see all the chew marks from a pipe wrench, from a pair of Stilsons. I mean, they could at least use an adjustable spanner on it, surely. But I like the C15 already because it doesn't have those stupid eccentric adjusters for the valves. It has ones on the ends of the rockers, so that's good. I like them. Well, let me take the... That's too big, Michael. That's probably too big as well. Yes. Let me take where the oil lines go on. Let's take those off first. Okay. Wander around the other side here. So we'll take off these two acorn nuts. Now, of course, one of the differences with the C15 from the B25 is that on the B25 the feed to the rockers is actually taken off the bottom of the engine, where the feed pipe and the return pipe are bolted on. The return pipe just has a little piece coming off it, and that is the scavenge feed up to the rockers. This comes off the oil tank. I'll show you that in a minute. So that's them off. There you see. Yep. Feed at the bottom, of course. There's the return, and then it scavenges off the return there. So one thing is, on the B25 you can't really get the feed and the return wrong because the return's got that scavenge on it. But here we'll just have to make sure we connect it up the right way around. Now then, tell you what I'll do. You don't want to see me take all these nuts off, so let me get them slackened off and taken off, and then I'll bring you back. Now, I don't think I've ever taken one of these heads off, or a head off an oldies engine, without at least one of the nuts bringing the stud out. In fact, here, these around the edges are 1/4 inch. There's two in the centre there that are 5/16, and one of those has brought the stud out as well. Okay, a little bit of a rubbery bump. Have you got them all, Michael? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got that one. Got them. Yep. There we go. Again, don't forget everybody, you don't stick screwdrivers on joint faces. The thing's popping off the various little spring washers. Would you believe it, look? An absolute fraction. And I might be able to drop the engine a tiny bit if I take the front and bottom engine mounting bolts out. So let me do that. Well, that was a good bit of news. The bottom one just pushed out. So I've still got the front one in a little bit, the back one's still in, so this thing wasn't so twisted that the bolts were difficult to get at. And this is the original bolt. You see the head, the domed head, it's only got 2 flats on it. Actually on the photograph I have of the bike you can see that sort of nice domed head there, so that's good. Let me get the this is just some old bolt that somebody's put in here. There we go. That's dropped a bit. Has it dropped? Oh, come on, you little... Oh, yes. Just. Alright, there's the rocker box out. Doesn't seem to be any play on those rockers. Looks quite clean in here. Okay. Push rods. That one might have a little bend in it. That looks alright. We'll check them on a straight surface, a flat surface, not a straight surface. Okay, now another difference is, you remember on the B25 we actually have 6 hold down bolts. Those 2 little ones here right next to the push rod tunnel. Well, on this there are only 4. So again, let me loosen them and then we can pull the head off. So I got the nuts off, 4 nuts off, and we had 1 plain washer here, the other side 1 spring washer, and these 2 bolts had copper washers on them. So again, don't bang it anywhere where you're going to break fins. I'm hoping this is going to come off alright, that the nuts haven't squished the alloy down into the stud threads. That seems to be coming up. There it goes. Now this of course is another difference. Like the Tiger Cub, because don't forget this engine's based on the Tiger Cub, it has a separate push rod tube. And the push rod tube is wider at the bottom, so it won't come up through the fins. There it is, that's coming loose. There, it's pulling down. So I hope we don't have as much trouble sealing this as Triumph Twins. But at least I don't suppose there's about 5 different kinds of sealing washers for it. There it comes. Alright, so there's our push rod tube, and actually the chrome looks pretty good. There's so much muck on the back that'll protect the chrome. And there's our head off. Sooty looking piston. I'll bring you in closer now. Alright, let's see how this will come off. Just got to break the joint with that bottom gasket. Now, this cot is a cast iron cylinder. I don't know if you can get alloy ones for these. I'll have to have a look around and ask Charlie. Although for this, I wouldn't bother going to the expense of buying an alloy one. I was building it up as a trials bike. By the way, if you're worried, I'm just hitting it sideways, I'm not even hitting it upwards. I'm pulling with this hand and just trying to free it off with this, because there's always a certain amount of wiggle. You know, you can't have the holes for the through studs the same size as the studs. That would just make it impossible to get it apart. So plain copper head gasket. I presume there'll be one of those in the gasket set. Wow, the engine turns over nicely. Quite a high dome piston. I wonder what... Thought the standard compression was only about 7.4 or something like that. Now then, this is one of those jobs which takes time and patience. So I won't use up your time, but I'll probably use up my patience. So once again, let's turn you off for a while. Alright, I felt it start to move there as I joggled it. Here it comes. Alright. Doesn't look too bad, and I don't feel any lip at the top. That's the big end. I think it's not the piston, is it? No, it's not the piston. Now this was one of the things, as I said, this is an original engine. So it just has sort of white metal bearings. And I think pretty quickly, maybe even the next year or within a couple of years, the first thing they did was they put a roller bearing in, but the same lubrication system. Then they changed the lube system to give the bearing a bit more oil. But I think, I'll have to look it up, I think, yeah, that what they did was they went to a quill feed. You'll see when we get in here. And we're not going to go to all that trouble. We'll put the new bearing, new type of bearing in, but should be fine. If need be, we might have to get a new bush for this side, but who knows. Alright, oh good, it's the type of circlips I like, with the ears you can actually grip with a pair of pliers. So let me get some pliers. I don't know if we'll be able to push this out, or whether we will need to heat the piston up. Oh, they come out so easily, that type. They're really nice. Wait! Just lost that one. Never mind. We would be putting new ones in anyway. Let's see. Oh, out it comes. Piston rings are all nice and loose as well. Don't see any scoring on the piston. Let me just tap this through. There we go. one piston off. Now then, I don't know if you, I'm saying I don't know if you can see, all I've got to do is have a look, isn't it? Yes, you can see. This conrod is covered in rust. And actually, when I couldn't get the sump off, but I did take off the oil feed. When I broke that joint, there was some drops of water came out. But it turns nicely. So we'll see what the bearing and the bush are like on this side. But all that looks quite good. Alright, next thing is I think I'll clean myself up a little bit. We'll take the distributor off and we'll take this side off. Right, well, the gear change lever and the shaft have virtually no splines on them. Now you notice that extra little screw there, that goes to a split clamp in here that holds the distributor. So once that is slackened off, the distributor should come out. It's come a little bit. So look, we'll take the cover off. This looks like a mixture of screws as well. This one's a Phillips, that one's a crosshead. Well, so far so good with these. I think that bottom one is missing. Okay, good. Yep. So you may remember we're leaving the distributor on just for the look. And I suppose if anybody actually had the bike and decided they didn't like electronic ignition and they wanted to go back to the points, they could always do it. Alright, so here's another difference. Check. You see the internal arm? Again, this is Tiger Cub. That presses on the clutch rod and the clutch cable comes in through the side. Unlike the B25 where this outer cover has a worm gear in it and the lever's up the top, you turn the top and turns that. Good, got rid of that piece of rubbish. Now then. Pang! Out! I was waiting for that, so don't worry about it. But you've got to remember it does come off with a jerk. Now what should we do with that? We'll get another blue one out and start for this. God, look at that spindly little clutch rod. Okay. Now then, I suppose I should have had a look at the C15 workshop manual first, because also the gear change part seems to be almost external. Let's see what we've got in here. It's actually getting on late. I might, 2 different screws. That's not even a screw, look, it's a bloody self-tapping, well, a sheet metal screw. Why do people do that? Right, we've got a split pin here, and then obviously that comes out and leaves that in place, the cam plate. So what I think we might do is go around the other side, take the clutch off. Let me loosen this screw. It's the one that holds the kickstart spring on, just so we can take that off there. And how many threads we might have to redo. That one certainly. Looks as if we've still got the threads in there, so we might be able to get the right bolt back in. Alright, let's go around the other side, take the clutch and everything off. Alright, let's see what we can do around this side. I'd already taken the cover off to get the chain case to drain, and actually I found that it had been repaired, sort of. The outside doesn't look bad. So let's see what we can see. Hang on, I'm going to find another container. Slightly bigger one to put all the clutch bits in. And let me see if I've got my little red dot. Yes, we are recording. It's a bit annoying if I did all this and then when I stood up, you hadn't seen anything. We've got the stupid... So these had the little spring with a little tang. So you've got to sort of hold the spring off the nut. Not that I'm particularly worried about these springs, of course, because we are get some new ones. They're a bugger to get off. Put that through there. Let's wind it round the other way so we're going the right way with the screwdriver. Oh, hang on, there it is. I remember Charlie mentioning some aftermarket clutch springs that were wound the wrong way, so that actually the tang was catching when you tried to screw them on. Now when you get less pressure on, they'll come off. I'll only do the one and then I'll take the other 3 out. So, you see that little thing there? It's actually been punched. So there's a tang on the inside and that catches on the spring. So, let me get the other 3 out. Well, 3 of them came alright. One was a bit of a bugger. But they're out now. Let's see what we've got here. these are all going to come out together. Yep, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. A 5 and 4 clutch. 5 plain, 4. You see the old type look with the separate segments. Now then, is this the same size as the B25 that my clutch tool will hold? Yes. Okay, that's good. And actually it's got the same type of let me get the hammer. Same type of lock washer as the B25. It's got 3 arms. One fits into a hole in the side and then the other 2 fold up around the nut. So we're not bothered about that because we can put a new one in. Alright, I think that, nope, too big, that's too small, that's the right one for that. Must be that one. Yes, it is. Okay. And before I bring this into view, no, I haven't bought an electric one yet. This one keeps working, so why waste money? Right, I switched you off and hopefully it's built up enough pressure so it won't come on for a bit. Now what was I saying? This works perfectly well. Wow. That took some getting off. And that one is open, it's not. Maybe this thing is worn out. Well, that's hot. I hope these haven't been screwed on cross-threaded, both of them. The thread looks alright on that. Alright, let me press on with this. Well, I borrowed George's impact wrench and I've had to go with a breaker bar, and this absolutely will not budge. Now, when I did build C15S, I ended up having to cut the nut off here. That engine was in really bad condition, mind. But I tried all sorts with that. I'm not even going to mess around this time. I'm going to drill it and split it. Drill it on 2 sides and split it right off. It's just not worth the effort messing about. So I'm going to drill it far enough off Make sure this drill isn't too big. That should be alright, I think. So of course I don't want to catch the threads, so we'll drill it there. Let's see if this drill's any good. Make sure we're away from the threads. Alright, that's good. Whoop. Don't really want that to happen, do we? Let's do something through there just to keep it all. And I'm not bothered about the alternator either. That's an old one, plus I've got lots of alternators anyway. Right, that's one.
You keep doing what you're doing, I'll get a wrench and take your fittings out.
Okay.
There you go. Oh, there's a spring and ball in there. Must be it took all of them off. Didn't realize that. That one must be part of the wrench, huh? Haven't had that one part. Undress way too warm.
So, we've got our two holes drilled. Nice sharp chisel. Let's see if we can split this thing. Ah, it's actually coming off, I think. There it goes. Right, there's that off. Let's take this alternator off and keep my fingers crossed about the sprocket behind this, because again, going back to that other C15 where I couldn't get the nut off. I mean, the threads are perfect. There's no rust, but that thing would not come off. But anyway, as I was saying, when I got all this off on the other C15, I spent about a week getting the sprocket off. Heated it, all sorts of things, because it's too hard to drill. Big slide hammer, pullers. So let's keep our fingers crossed that this will come off. So let me, hang on, guess what's needed for this. Now I've taken the 3 nuts off. I notice on this that, like the Triumphs, ooh, the alternator wires go out through the back, not the nice, easy to deal with ones that come out the front on the B25 and what have you. Okay. Oh, right, well that's a good start. There's the key. Oh! I need the puller for this. Yeah, that bugger. I don't know why this I mean, the threads look perfect. Threads inside don't look perfect as well. But that would not budge. Alright, let me go and find my puller. Right, well it would seem, I think, that is a different size, is it? Looks about the right size. Hang on, here's the bit in the centre catching. Oh God, I was going to say, I thought it wasn't a different size. The centre was just screwed in too far. Alright, let's see if this will pull off. I have my tray underneath, ready to catch all the little bits if it comes apart. All right. Very good. Ow. And that's a bit stuck in my finger. The key wheel just tap out. Well, not key wheel, key. There it goes. Down into there somewhere. Look at that vanish, it just fell into there. Oh, there it is. Right, put that in the box with all the other stuff. Alright, now then. These are the next ones that are generally up. Oh! These can be a bugger to get out. We deserve a bit of good luck after those nuts. No play in that main. Oh, it's all fastened up on the other side, but we shall see what we shall see. when we see it. Oh, these are all coming out nicely. Getting near the end of the day. Right, fingers crossed. You can take 16 screws out and 15 will come out and one won't. Oh, there we go. Come on. Bum, bum. There it goes. Doesn't look so nice though. It's the oil seals come out and stayed on there. I better check what you can see actually. Hold on a second. Oh no, you're alright. Maybe a little far away, but that can go straight in the bin. Now then, let's hope this comes off alright. This has got a big lock washer on it. Where's the bigger screwdriver gone? Bigger screwdriver. Can't see for looking. Right. Fingers crossed. I'll get the chain thing to hold that. Right, this is the chain thing. I mean, there is a name for it, but and I'm sure somebody will tell us. Yeah, right. It's generally I put these on the wrong way around. Oh, I'm right this time. There we go. Beep, 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 beep. Well, there's 2 lock washers on there. No, there isn't, you fool. You haven't taken the other one off. No, I haven't. That's alright. See, told you, it's late in the day. I need food. And a Glenfiddich. Or maybe I'll have a glass of port. Well, I might have a glass of port before dinner and then a Glenfiddich after. And a glass of wine with it. Alright. Well, that is a well-worn sprocket. In fact, that is an almost worn away. That's not even hooked, it's worn away. Let's see how big it is. Can I count this high? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 tooth. That's standard, I think. Alright, well, that is enough for today, folks. Probably would have got further if I hadn't run around getting that those nuts off. But until when? Yeah, tomorrow morning I'll come out and get this finished, get the engine out. At least get the engine out, even if I don't get to split the crankcases. So I'll see you tomorrow. Right, well, I just this is the next morning. Did the video last night and I'd already got 42 minutes or something like that. So that's going to be enough for this week. We'll finish stripping this, get it out, split the cases and start looking at the big end and stuff like that next week. So until then, stay safe and enjoy yourselves.